I'm here with Corey, and today we're going to be talking about promoting independence, specifically looking at hand washing as kind of our example. So my name is Stephanie Paden, and I'm the regional director up here in Seattle.
My name is Corey, and I'm the clinical supervisor here in Seattle, one of the clinical supervisors.
So MeBe is all about me being me. So we want to integrate our research-based strategies with this intense personal attention for your child to provide therapy that's really engaging, really flexible, and customized to your child's needs.
We offer applied behavior analysis, ABA therapy, along with occupational therapy and speech and language therapy. This is really helpful in collaborating between all of the different disciplines and making the best treatment plan for the child. I super love it because we have an in-home or in-house speech therapist right now, and I get to talk to her daily, and it's just really helpful for making sure that everyone's communicating and the kids are getting the best services.
All right, we're located in several places now, which is so exciting. So we're in Bay Area in California, in Phoenix in Arizona, Austin, Texas, Ashburn, Virginia just recently opened. We're up here in Seattle. We've got our Los Angeles and Denver, Colorado.
And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at MeBe Family, and then find more information at mebefamily.com and phone number 619-795-9925.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about independent living skills. When we think about independent living skills, these are really skills that include multiple steps. So we think of those as changing clothes, brushing teeth, combing your hair, the steps to using the bathroom, and hand washing. And although these skills really only take a single command, hey, Corey, go change your clothes, it's really a lot of steps that entail that one command.
And a lot of these skills are the independent living skills. Need to be able to live independently and have as much privacy and time of ourselves that we all deserve. So these skills are complex and involve multiple steps, and all of the steps are linked. So I can't brush my teeth if I don't first screw off the cap of the toothpaste and put the toothpaste on the toothbrush. And then once our learners finish one step, it tells them that they're ready to move on the next step. So for toothbrushing, once I unscrew the toothpaste tube, that tells me that I'm ready to now put it on my toothbrush. Another example, if I want to wash my hands, I have to first turn on the water, get soap on my hands before I can rub them together.
All right, so we think of these as skills that really build on each other. If I'm telling someone to go wash their hands and I say, hey, Corey, go wash your hands, what I really mean is, hey, Corey, go turn on the faucet, go wet your hands with water, go get the soap, go turn off the water, and then dry your hands.
And so before we start teaching these skills, we really want to see what can they do independently. Are they able to do all the steps independently? Are they just missing some steps in the middle? Or do we need to teach them all of the steps? You can use a grid like the one below to write down all the steps to see which ones they can do by themselves. You'll want to describe all the steps necessary to complete the task, as well as any skills that may be missing but are necessary for them to fully complete the task. For example, breaking down the step of pumping the soap, we might have to break that down into 3 separate steps. So placing your hand on the pump, put your other hand underneath it, and then push down.
We use 3 different. It's based on how much that child can do independently. We use forward teaching, so that's if your child can complete the first steps independently, you're just going to kind of build on those steps with prompting. And then we might use backwards chaining if your child can complete some of the last steps, or they can't complete any of the steps by themselves. you're going to help them through that whole process and increase their independence. Or we use what's referred to as whole teaching. So that's if your child can do some steps, but they're just missing some things in the middle. Different locations or different equipment may need different prompting or different teaching depending on your child's skills. Some examples I think of that come up a lot are soap on the wall in a public bathroom versus pump soap in your bathroom, or automatic hand soaps versus ones you have to crank. Those can make a bit of a difference. So we have some video examples of each of these teaching methodologies. This is our whole task training. So this is a child who can do the majority of the task and just has needs some help in the middle.
There you go, like that. Great job.
So notice in that video, Corey had to help Megan, who's one of our wonderful behavior technicians, just a couple steps in the middle. She was able to go to the sink. She was able to turn the water on by herself, but she needed a little help getting the soap and needed a little help to remember to dry her hands at the end.
Nice job washing hands.
I like how sassy she gets there at the end. In this task, Corey comes in right away, prompting Megan through the entire task. But you'll notice at the end, she starts to lower the amount she's prompting. At first, she's full on behind her, prompting every step until we get to some of those last steps. And then she starts to just kind of gesture, and then Megan completes the step on her own.
Hands.
Our last training method is forward training. So again, that's where our child can do some of the steps by themselves, maybe in the beginning, but then kind of they're not quite as independent as they would need to be, but we want to build on that independence.
Wash your hands.
It makes me laugh every time. So in that, Megan is able to go to the sink. She's able to turn the water on, and then Corey's coming in and prompting her through the rest of the steps. All right, I will.
Oh, okay. And when we teach, we always want to use physical prompts, model prompts, or gestural prompts. Once we know what steps the child can complete independently and what teaching strategy we'll use, we can decide what level of prompting will be most effective. When teaching independent skills, we want to avoid using verbal prompts. We want our children to rely on the steps of the task before to tell them what to do next. So we really want to rely on the step of rinsing hands to tell us to turn off the faucet, as opposed to someone telling them turn off the water. And this is going to help promote better independence on the task, so they don't necessarily need someone over their shoulder telling them what the next step is every time. And then verbal prompts don't show the child how to do the next step, like a gestural model or physical prompt, and it may cause the child to become reliant. So by saying wash your hands, turn off the faucet, we're not showing them how to do those steps. We're just reminding them of what we want them to do right now.
And I think a really important note to make there is that our goal ultimately, right? And I think every parent's goal with their child with all of these things is that I can sit in a chair in the living room and I can tell them to go do this. And I know they do it completely and can complete all those steps by themselves. But if we've taught them to kind of rely on these verbal prompts, then they're going to expect and need that then they're going to expect them, okay, turn off the water, to tell them, okay, turn off the water, as opposed to relying just on the task itself. So we can watch a video of what that can look like when we talk about what does it mean with those verbal prompts.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands. Wash your hands.
So in this video, we'll notice that Corey is kind of just telling her with not a clear instruction necessarily, but just saying, wash your hands, wash your hands. It's not really teaching Megan what to do next or how to move forward or how to complete the task. We're just making sure that she's continuing to do it. All right.
And when we talk about prompting levels, we want to use least to most prompting. So this is the least invasive prompt to the most kind of hand over hand physical prompting. So the first one would be a gesture prompt. And this is where you point or guide the child to cue them to the next step that they need to do. A model prompt is showing them what that step needs to look like. So you would model for them with your own materials, with your own hands, what that next step looks like. And then a physical prompt is the most intrusive, and that's where you would complete that step hand over hand by guiding their hands yourself.
All right. We have some examples here of what those prompts can look like. So we can start with our gesture prompts. Maybe. There we go.
This is a gesture prompt.
So with our gesture prompt, Corey has simply cued Megan to turn on the water. Poor Megan at this point had probably washed her hands about 17 times that day, so we didn't want to force her to do the steps all completely.
This is a gesture.
The next one we'll look at is a model prompt. So here Corey will be modeling how to do the behavior for Megan.
This is a model prompt.
So Corey is modeled rubbing her hands together. Megan looks and scans and then imitates that behavior. And then our last is our physical prompts.
This is a full physical prompt. Okay.
You'll notice that that's really the most intrusive. Corey has come from behind Megan and has actually taken her hand and to complete that task.
And just some reminders with the verbal prompts. If we give a verbal cue too many times in a row, we're not really teaching the skill. So much as that reminding them what they should be doing, but not teaching them how to do it. And if your child does know all the steps of a task, just verbal prompts would be appropriate at reminders. So if we do know that they do know how to complete it and they're just kind of, off looking at something else, a verbal reminder would be appropriate if we know for sure they do know how to complete those steps.
All right. As your child gets more independent with those steps of the task that we've written out, you're going to change the amount that you're prompting. So you're going to change by using less intrusive prompting methods as independence is gained. You're going to change kind of your expectation, right, of what that child should be doing independently. As you want to increase independence in a step, you'll want to wait 3 seconds before providing a prompt in that particular step. So if we look at the example to the left, before I prompt turning off the water, right, because my expectation is that that child can do that step independently, I'm going to wait 3 seconds before I even start to do anything because I want to give them that opportunity to do it by themselves. You'll also notice in that example, there's a lot of, I apologize for my handwriting, physical prompting to going to a model prompt to going into that gestural prompt. And then the expectation kind of changes as the days go on. How do you know a kid's ready to move on? a lot of that's going to depend on that particular child. They might need a lot of opportunities to practice that skill, having been prompted in that step. I like to say, like, a very good general rule of thumb when we take data and when we work on these skills intensively in ABA is that they're going to remain at a prompt level for at least 3 consecutive days. So thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about hand washing and independent skills. Although we spoke directly about hand washing, this is a type of training that can be applied to a lot of independent living skills, just across your child's day.